Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Allow me a moment to introduce myself. My name is Strategic Eyes, and I'm running to be your sheriff of Pima County, the great state of Arizona. Now, right now, boys and girls, you are being led by a man named Nanos. Well, I think his mama calls him Nanos, but we around these parts, we call him Thanos. Thanos, he's quick to let us know that he has 50 years of law enforcement experience. Well, your candidate over here only has 20 years of law enforcement experience, but I can tell you one thing, ladies and gentlemen, I know the difference between a Waffle House and a crime scene. Now, you care about your grandparents, you want justice in your community, and most importantly, if you don't want your bite-sized sheriff having a PP measuring contest with the FBI, well, you might want to consider going down to that ballot box and voting with Strategic Eyes. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. I, True Crime with Strategic, is running for sheriff. Pima County, greatest county in these United States of America. I bless America. Bless Pima County. Protect the grandmothers. Sheriff Thanos.
Welcome to True Crime with Strategic Eyes.
Strategic back again. Oh my God. We got our first sponsor to the show, man, a political campaign ad by some handsome guy who's running for sheriff of Pima County. I hope you guys enjoyed it, so please do vote for Sheriff Strategic. Oh my God, one more year for this guy. Listen, guys, I got my little sheriff outfit in the mail. I had to have a good time, man. I love you guys. You guys are crazy. We have a good time here. I love this show because we don't take ourselves seriously, even though we talk about serious things. So listen, we got a really good show for you guys today. Very interesting stuff. I wasn't even going to talk about Nancy Guthrie today. I mean, even though there's a lot of stuff to talk about, I wanted to give it a break. But once I got my hat in the mail, I had to talk about Nancy, man. I had to. All right, listen. They're looking for Nancy in Mexico now. She's in Mexico. Come on. She's in Mexico. Oh my, listen, at this point, I'm going to be honest with you people. Nobody knows where Nancy is. Okay? They don't know where she's at. They're grabbing for straws. Nancy, with all respect to the Savannah Guthrie family, I say this with all due respect. Nancy was abducted by aliens. That's it. It's over. Forget it. Forget it. It's over. She's gone. She's been disappeared, man. Whatever, guys. Listen, this is horrible, horrible police work. I just feel like this case is so tainted. And listen, I see a lot of YouTubers who are now agreeing with our stance on True Crime Strategic that Sheriff Nanos destroyed this case. Now the whole world is coming around, okay? They're coming around, okay? Because I called it. Sheriff Nanos destroyed this case. This case can't be saved, ladies and gentlemen. It's over. What we need now is prayer. That's what we need. We need prayer. We need Jesus. That's what we need, ladies and gentlemen. So I hope to God that the people who took Nancy develop a conscience and return that woman to her family. Think about your mother. Think about your grandmother, your loved ones, your daughter, your sister, your friend. It doesn't matter how evil or how dark your soul is. We all have people who we care about. Because right now, we're at the point where we're operating off of the mercy of the kidnappers, because unfortunately, they have done a trashy job in this case. Guys, big shout out to Bon Junk with a 199 Super Chat says, campaign contribution. I appreciate you. But let's jump into this because there's yet another. Not only are they looking at Mexico now, we have another ransom note. Now, didn't TMZ tell us they weren't going to tell us about these ransom notes anymore? But yet, we're all back again. We're back again with the ransom notes. Okay, let's see what Harvey has to say, man. Oh, you guys said no sound? Is it messed up? Let me see something. Oh, okay. We got some issues here. Fix it.
Patrol camera.
Better. All right, cool. Check this out. Back from the beginning. My apologies, guys. Sorry about that.
The search for Nancy Guthrie has gone international. We have learned the FBI has told federal Mexican law enforcement to tell various police agencies to be on the lookout for Nancy and her kidnapper. Now, our law enforcement sources are telling us that it is possible they believe that Nancy was taken across the border, but they doubt if she is across the border that it happened directly after the kidnapping. We're told that because we know now that the FBI checked cameras, Border Patrol cameras, and also other various electronic devices. We are asked not to be specific about that, and they have come up dry.
Real big shout out to Rockman. $10 super chat says, "Hey, what's up, strategic family? Just wanted to let you guys know things have been looking up and God is good. Thank you so much for everything, and thank you for being great human strategic." Guys, I wanted to shout this out. Rockman and his team, he's a construction guy. He does electrical work. His team got stiffed by a really bad contractor, and so a lot of people were out of work. So we did share his GoFundMe. Because we love Rockman, and Rockman is an honest guy. He's a recovering addict too, and he's a really good guy. And I don't say that like that defines you, Rockman. I say that because you've come from far and you're doing good things, man. And so he's saying things are looking good now, and so we're happy to hear that, Rockman, and we appreciate you, and we always pray for you, brother. Let's keep going.
There is nothing showing any movement across the border where they suspect Nancy Guthrie was in that car. Now, that said, we're told that she could have been taken at some point after the kidnapping, a day or so later or 2 days later. They just don't know. And obviously there is a way to get across the border undetected. But right now they have put the word out, and so far no luck. There is something else. TMZ obtained another ransom note today. This is a highly sophisticated demand involving a form of crypto, not Bitcoin. Now, it is demanding roughly the same amount as the demand letter we received, shortly after the kidnapping.
So basically, they don't want Bitcoin. They probably want some Shiba Inu or something like that. Some Dogecoin. Remember the Shiba Inu? I made some money off some Shiba Inu. I'm not going to lie to you. I bought that thing when it was super low. Then I sold it when it went up a little bit. I made some money off some Shiba. They want some Shiba Inu or some Dogecoin. He said this super sophisticated. Bitcoin is Bitcoin. Crypto is crypto. It don't matter what it is. It's the same stuff. But anyway, let's keep going.
$6 million demand. It's not exactly that, but it's close to that. The demand graphically describes the consequences if the demand is not met. It also involves the media, saying that the media essentially becomes a go-between, a trigger, if you will, for getting this ransom money. We have been asked not to be specific about any of that beyond what we've just said. We have forwarded this on to the FBI, and they are looking into it.
I want to know what's the significance of this note, though, because Harvey told us he wasn't going to tell us about these notes anymore. He had this whole elaborate plot that if we stop telling you about the notes, and we keep telling you about the notes, but then we stop telling you about the notes, then the notes is going to know that the notes to stop sending it the notes, and then we got the lady. Remember that? I didn't understand what he said either, but that's what it sounded like to me. But the bottom line is he said he wasn't going to stop telling us about the notes. But look, he's here telling us about the notes again. Yeah. I would probably tell you about the notes too if it got me $1 million every time I reported on it. I told you guys, I'm honest with you because I'm broke right now. But the moment they give me that Soros money, I'm going to tell you whatever you want to hear. That's what I think is happening. I think listen, no disrespect to Harvey. I don't know. Why? I just want to know why. Let me not speculate. I want to know why. But let's keep going.
The email that we received today does not have the same crypto account as the crypto account in that first ransom letter that we received. A couple of other things. We told you yesterday that the FBI went around to various gun stores in the Tucson area with a list of names, trying to see if anybody on that list bought a gun at any of these shops. We were told, and we told you this yesterday, that the list was created by the people who had purchased a holster similar to the one that the kidnapper was wearing.
So somebody said, why aren't they tracing the email? You know, that's probably the first thing that they did. The problem is that it is very difficult to trace emails when you use these like Proton Mail and stuff like that. Like those Proton Mails, if you send a subpoena to Proton Mail, they're going to go tell you, go F yourself. Seriously. They'll say it in a very nice way. They'll just say, we don't have no records of this person. Straight like that. None of their servers are in America. All their servers are in like third world countries. So it's like impossible to get them enforced when you send a subpoena to them. And then they specifically how they basically structure their algorithm and their software, it doesn't track anything. Now you add a VPN on top of that and, you know, on some real stuff, unless you can put the full weight of the government behind you, which my NSA, CIA stuff, you're not getting who this person is. And the NSA, CIA is not going to lend their assets for this case. And if they did, then we have a problem. The reason why we'd have a problem is because even though we all want Nancy to go home, we'd have a problem with inequality because they wouldn't do that for your grandmother. So if they're not going to do it for your grandmother, if they're not going to do it for my grandmother, then they can't do it for Nancy. Sorry to say it like that, but that's just a fact. So unless the CIA or the NSA is on this case, it's pretty much going to be almost impossible to trace some of these emails if they're doing it the way that I think that they're doing it. Let's keep going.
The search for Nancy Guthrie has gone international. We have learned the FBI has told federal Mexican law enforcement to tell various police agencies to be on the lookout for Nancy and her kidnapper. Now, our law enforcement sources are telling us that it is possible they believe that Nancy was taken across the border, but they doubt if she is across the border that it happened directly after the kidnapping. We're told that because we know now that the FBI checked cameras, Border Patrol cameras, and also other various electronic devices. We are asked not to be specific about that, and they have come up dry. There is nothing showing any movement across the border where they suspect Nancy Guthrie was in that car. Now, that said, we're told that she could have been taken at some point after the kidnapping, a day or so later or 2 days later. They just don't know. And obviously, there is a way to get across the border undetected. But right now, they have put the word out, and so far, no luck. There is something else. TMZ obtained another ransom note today. This is...
Wait, didn't we just watch this? Did it like replay or something like that? Huh? I think we just... Oh, did I mess up or something? I don't know. Let's go over here.
People who have bought items similar to the ones the kidnapper is wearing. They actually have a team...
So I messed up and I went backwards by accident. This is where we at.
And buying that holster, at least from that list. Couple of other things. The FBI team, there is a team that is working on just finding people who have bought items similar to the ones the kidnapper is wearing. They actually have a team contacting Walmart and other retailers, and their focus is finding matches, you know, people who have bought more than one of these items, you know, a backpack, a jacket, a holster, or anything else. Again, we are told that so far they do not have any real leads on that. So the bottom line, and this is a quote from a law enforcement source, we are shaking the trees looking for clues. So they are doing everything they can. There's one other thing that I was asked to mention, and that is something I know to be true. The FBI is really serious that anybody who is trying to get money from the Guthrie family with a phony demand letter is going to spend, as it was put to me, a long, long time in federal prison.
Well, we hope so.
The FBI does not mess around with things like that.
All right, that sounds good. That sounded good and dandy. But one guy, the first guy who sent out a fake demand letter, he was released from prison from jail within hours of being arrested. The guy in California. So yeah, it sounds like an empty threat to me. Also, we've been we're going on 3 weeks now, and we're no closer to finding any of the people who are writing these demand letters. So once again, more empty promises that aren't ever seeming to be followed through with. Whatever. Anyway, big shout out to 12 Doodlebug 83 with a $5 super chat. Says, can you explain burglaries gone wrong? Remove bodies. There's cases people got abducted / taken for ATM and other nefarious reasons. This is not a burglary gone wrong. This was a kidnapping. Nothing was in order to commit a burglary, you have to go into a dwelling of which you have no permission or legal reason to be in, and then you have to go in there with the intent of committing a crime. I guess it is a burglary. A kidnapping is a crime, right? The bottom line is nothing was removed from the house. Nothing of value, nothing that belonged to Nancy was removed from the house but Nancy. Nancy was the only one taken. I've never heard of a burglary where a person goes in there to burglarize a home, steal valuables, the whole nine, and the occupant of the home passes away, and then the burglar takes them with them. We have heard of instances where people have been in their home when it's being burglarized. We heard of instances of them being ex-assaulted. I deal with those cases all the time. We also have instances of them being taken out of their homes to ATMs, like you said in your comment, so that money could be withdrawn. There is no evidence that these kidnappers did any of that with Nancy. If they would have taken her to an ATM, we would have had a record of that. Not only would we have a record of that, but there is not one ATM on this planet that does not have a camera in it. It's almost a prerequisite. You have to have a camera. The only ones that don't have cameras are the ones you find in delis. And the reason why they don't have cameras and they're allowed to not have cameras for insurance reasons is because the delis have tons of security. So if you have a deli with tons of security, that is like the loophole. You won't be insured if you don't have proper surveillance around an ATM machine. And when you go into a bank, not only is the vestibule where the ATMs are located filled with video surveillance, but each ATM machine itself has its own camera in the ATM machine recording you. That's not for your safety. That is so that if money is taken illegally from that machine, the insurance company is willing to pay back the owner of that money, the owner of that ATM machine. If they would have done that with Nancy, we would know who they are, or at the very least, we'd have pictures of them in whatever appearance they had, whether they had a mask on, no mask, whatever. And we'd also be able to see the state of Nancy. That didn't happen. Somebody went to Nancy's house. Somebody tampered with the cameras. Somebody left with Nancy bloodied, and Nancy has now disappeared off the face of the earth. That's literally where we're at right now. It's just insane how that is literally the narrative of our story, but that's what we're working with. So I don't think it's a burglary gone wrong at all. I think it was a kidnapping. The problem is to what ends? What are they trying to accomplish with this kidnapping? Because it doesn't even appear that the ransom notes are real. So it's not even as though they did it for money, because to me, it doesn't appear that they've even asked for money yet, because I don't trust any of the ransom notes that have come into law enforcement or to TMZ so far. All right, let's keep going. Big shout out to Paula Mesa, $10 super chat strategic. I can't get over your creativity. I'm totally feeling the sheriff hat. You got it going on. Harvey's appearing to be like Thanos, telling tall tales. Shaking my D head. I hear you, man. She said he's appearing to be Thanos Jr. I hear you. Okay, well, there's only one Thanos, and that's Nanos. Let's keep going, ladies and gentlemen. We got a lot of interesting things for you guys today. A lot of stuff that we're going to be going through. Give me a second. Let me go ahead and fix this up for you guys. All right. Okay. I'm trying to get into CNN, but it's giving me a hard time. Okay, here we go. Okay, boom. All right, with no initial DNA match, Guthrie investigators turned to one of their newest tools to crack cases, genealogy. All right, so it looks like genealogy is going to be their next best attempt to try and crack this case. All right, let's keep going. Only a few years ago, Tuesday's announcement that a glove believed to be connected to the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie in Tucson, Arizona, had no match in a DNA database would have been a dead end. Now, for investigators, it's just the beginning. Now, before we read any further here, ladies and gentlemen, somebody in the chat said something about a bloody glove that was found. And apparently the people who found the bloody glove was trying to contact law enforcement to come pick the glove up. And nobody from the sheriff's department came to pick it up until finally they called 911. Somebody came and got it. That's what somebody reported in the chat. I have never heard of that. And I'd like some confirmation of that. If anybody has heard that and can corroborate it, please do let us know in the chat. And hopefully you can tell us the source so we can go ahead and find that and report on it. All right. Got to pick. My nose is itching me. All right. So let's jump back into this. All right. Investigators are currently looking into additional investigative genetic genealogy options for DNA evidence to check for matches, Pima County Sheriff's Department said Tuesday. That brings a whole new dimension to unlocking the secret of gloves found 2 miles from Guthrie's home, said by investigators to be similar to those worn by a suspect in a disturbing video caught on a camera at Guthrie's front door. Separate DNA found at Guthrie's property that does not match her or anyone in close contact with her also has not produced a match in the National Law Enforcement DNA database known as CODIS, Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos, aka Thanos, told Fox News Tuesday. Comparing DNA collected in criminal investigations to publicly accessible databases of millions of people who have contributed genetic profiles and thereby finding often distant relatives to piece together a family tree that can point to a suspect has been a component of a number of recent cases, including the conviction of Brian Koberger, who ultimately confessed to murdering 4 college students in Idaho, and was sentenced to life in prison. Now, my question, why did Brian Koberger do it? Why did he do it? I never really got deep into that case. I know it was a huge case, but it just didn't tickle me. That make any sense to you guys? Like a case has to tickle me. And it didn't tickle me. And I just didn't understand why he did it for. It didn't make any sense. Anyway, let's keep going. From that, we get a list of people who share DNA with that unknown person. It can be as little as 1% or even less. Genetic genealogy expert CC Moore told CNN's Caitlin Collins. While there have been seemingly miraculous results from sifting through millions of DNA records based on a single sample, the process is still hit or miss and may not bring the Guthrie family the answers they want right away. Let's keep going. It can go as quickly as 20 minutes, and I have some cases I've been working on for 7.5 years, Moore said. 7.5 years. We're going to have to wait that long for justice for Nancy? Let's keep going. Genealogy investigators have major success stories. Successfully using DNA of distant family members to profile and narrow down suspects had an extraordinary high profile debut in 2018 when it was used to solve the cold case of the Golden State Killer. After authorities spent 5 decades fruitlessly searching for a suspect in dozens of murders and rapes across California, investigators decided to put crime scene DNA believed to be the perpetrators into GEDmatch, a public database where people voluntarily upload their DNA for genealogy research. Who would do that? Who would purposely give the government their DNA profile? Like, geez, man, you can't even rob a bank anymore. Your own family members is dry snitching on you. Anyway, let's keep going. You go, oh my God.
Oh my God.
All right, let's keep going. Hey, mommy, I'm going to go give my DNA to the database to catch our great uncle. Something, I don't know. It only took 4 months to identify possible relatives and narrow down the search for possible suspects to just 3 people. One of them, former police officer Joseph D'Angelo, had been a part of a task force investigating the Golden State Killer. We collected his trash and found a piece of tissue that we tested for DNA. That matched the killer from all these other locations, lead prosecutor Thien Ho told CNN last year. He was 72 years old when he was caught and had never previously been a suspect. Wow. Look at this monster here, the Golden Gate Killer. D'Angelo, now 80 years old, was convicted in 2020 and is now serving a sentence of life without parole. So one of the officers investigating the case was the actual killer. Wow. That's amazing. He was actually the killer. Wow. Anyway, since then, the technology has been used to identify more than just suspects in ongoing criminal cases. The identity of a victim of the 1921 Tulsa Race Massacre, for example, was discovered through DNA genealogy, determining he was a veteran of World War I. In the Kohlberger case, investigators acknowledged the FBI used DNA from a knife sheath found at the crime scene in a genetic investigation. Genetic genealogy pointed law enforcement toward Kohlberger as a suspect. Prosecutors said, though investigators ultimately did not use that evidence to obtain the arrest warrant, saying they had enough other evidence, including surveillance, video, and cell phone data to link him to the killings. Even in genetic genealogy, biggest success stories scoring DNA records. All right, we can keep going about the DNA genealogy, but I think you guys kind of get it. All right, you guys get it. They're going to be using genealogy to try and find this suspect. Before we go to the next exhibit, let me go ahead and go to the people who are supporting the channel right now. Oh, and a lot of people showing us love, and we appreciate that. Let's keep going. All right, so Barbara Bish with a $10 super chat says, strategic, do you have cowboy boots to go with the hat? Well, let's take a look. I just got some dirty socks. Sorry, dirty socks. But then we got to add that to the list. Let's get some cowboy boots. It's at Posh Paper Creations with a $5 super chat says, it's not a burglary gone wrong. It's a sheriff gone wrong. I like that. That's a good one, Barbara Bish. Posh Paper Creations. I like that. That's a good one. All right, D Blongo 5223 with a $5 super chat says, colleague verified Nancy's heavy involvement with political organizations. She was a leader. Do you think she found fraud became a target? They killed her? Wow, that's deep. I have never heard anything about that, and nothing so far has come up in this case that would indicate that this was some political hit job or something like that. So that's the first one for me, but hey, listen, we don't know nothing. Nobody knows where Nancy is. Anything could possibly be a motive. And possibly Real Cat with a $5 super chat says, this is strictly for your intro. All right, man. I appreciate you, possibly Real Cat. Thank you so much. Let's go to the next exhibit, ladies and gentlemen.
Fox News alert in our top story here that we've been following for 3 weeks now. The reward for information on the disappearance of Nancy.
All right, hold on. I've gone the whole show without asking you guys not one time, guys. Please hit that like button, support the channel. We appreciate all the love that we got. We have around 800 people watching this live stream right now, which is a lot of people. We appreciate you. We love you. But please hit the like button so we can get into the algorithm and the show could be shown to a wider audience. We appreciate you guys. Let's keep going.
Guthrie has doubled. An anonymous donor matching the FBI's reward of $100,000, bringing the total to $202,500.
Meantime, the genetic expert who helped crack the Bryan Kohberger case says there is still hope of building a DNA profile on the glove found near Nancy Guthrie's home.
The CODIS system will catalog 20 markers from people, and generally the people in that database have been convicted of a crime. The kind of testing that we do at Othram looks at the entire DNA. There's probably at least 500,000 markers that we're looking at instead of 20 markers.
Joining us now is a forensic expert who helped establish the national training guidelines for medico-legal death investigators, Joseph Scott Morgan. Joseph, thank you so much for joining us. Great to see you again.
Is there a channel that Joseph Scott Morgan is not on? He is the most, he's working harder than my dirty socks. Steelers Nation 1275 says $10 super chat. I'll pay for those awesome dirty socks. You want my dirty socks? You will pay for my socks? I'm about to start an OnlyFans. Start selling my socks. Jeez. Big shout out to Steelers Nation, and you cannot have my socks. All right, but I'll send you a picture.
It's very interesting what this genetic expert is saying, which sounds like even though the DNA found on the glove doesn't match the FBI database, that doesn't mean that we still can't learn a whole lot about this person who wore the glove if they left behind any DNA, which they did, to either rule the person who wore it either in or out. So tell us more about the next steps in genetic testing likely being done right now.
Yeah, far from a hopeless situation. As a matter of fact, I'm hopeful today. It springs eternal in this particular case. Great to hear from David Middleman, because he is at the top of the game when it comes to investigative genealogy. So the deposition of DNA that they're talking about, not just with the gloves, but I'm still interested in the profiles that are contained within that home that they've talked about as well. This is a DNA-rich environment. And if folks at home will just think about, have you ever worn a pair of latex gloves? Okay. Well, if you have, guess what you do most of the time? You might not be completely aware of it, just sweat in those gloves. And sweat is a fantastic carrier of our DNA, just like blood, saliva, semen, these sorts of things. It's a DNA-rich environment. So when these gloves are cast off, that means that they can be collected if they're treated appropriately and managed well through the chain of evidence, and those samples can in fact be extricated from there, and it can go to a place like Othram in the Woodlands, just north of Houston, and they can begin to run this. I got to tell you guys, I'm just a little bit heartsick over the fact that they haven't done this sooner. I think that many of us wish that they had at this point.
And I think a number of us who aren't in your field had the same feeling, but it's validating to hear that come from you, somebody who's an expert who's saying, look, this thing's been going on for almost 3 weeks. It should have been done sooner.
Yep.
With regard to, though, the number of DNA samples, are you concerned that they could soon run out of DNA samples because they are doing a lot of testing on the samples they have thus far?
Yeah, the one, Todd, I got to tell you, one of the concerning things is that what you don't want to do is burn through your samples. And this is fragile stuff. It all depends on how well it's been preserved. You know, let's think just for a second, and I'm just talking about the gloves here, okay? If they were left by the side of the road, for instance, already, they're in kind of a compromised environment. It's not protected. It's not like it's in the house, okay? So we don't really know what kind of what the environmental effects may have been on the samples that were contained therein. And you have to be very judicious, you know, as you're using the samples. Now, look, there have been major breaks.
You know, a lot of this evidence is being found out in the elements. And they've had rain out there already. So that's going to compromise the evidence. Do me a favor, research crew. I actually had something pop up in my feed, but I don't know what I did with it, where the Pima County Sheriff is asking for YouTubers to leave. He doesn't like the coverage that YouTubers and social media sleuths are doing, and he wants them to leave the area. So can you guys find that for me and throw it my way? I want to cover that as well, because I read that, and they had JLR showcase. Oh, they also did a hit piece on, like, the news is not feeling JLR. Somebody did a hit piece on him. Like, this guy's out there covering this like everybody else. And they did a hit piece on that dude. I was like, what is happening here? Like, come on. Like, is the mainstream media like afraid of YouTubers now? Whatever. Anyway, I want to report on that. So please do send that to me if you guys have it. Let's keep going.
Breakthroughs relative to very tiny bits of DNA over the years, particularly as the ability to amplify this takes place moving forward with people like David Middleman, and their ability to source this. They can go into all kinds of, they can take degraded sample from bone, which they do that a lot, trying to get the unidentified in America identified. So I just hope that they've taken care. I think one of my big concerns is, you know, these gloves were first, okay, or these samples were first sent to Florida, then they had to make it up to the FBI, and now they're with Othram. So I'm hoping all goes well. I have as much hope right now as I've had through this whole process. And I
want to say this because I get this a lot, because we cover a lot of different channels to make this happen, because we're largely a reaction channel, because, you know, I'm in my basement right now. I'm not in these different places, and people, they'll talk about like guys like JLR and stuff like in some of their past. I don't know this guy. I don't know these folks. I don't care to know them. I do my own thing. But I will say this. In America, we do believe that people should get second chances. So if somebody made a mistake in their life and then they clearly are trying to do better, then I think we should give them some grace. And this is from the lawman who locks people up. All right. Once again, I'm not vouching for anybody. I don't know all the things that you guys know about these YouTubers and all that stuff. And I'm not into that stuff. I look at that stuff like it's lame. Like I'm from Harlem. We different. We built different. I'm a New Yorker. But if a person made a mistake, they paid for it, they did their time, and then you see them doing good work, because regardless of what the motivation is, the guy is out here getting us information that we don't have. He's out here. I'm not out there. I'm sitting on my chair right now, my swivel chair, spinning. You guys are on your couch. He's out there. If he's not out there, we don't see it, because the mainstream media is not showing us the truth. At least we get to just see the truth. He's just playing it. He's not editing. He's just recording and streaming. All I'm saying is we should always be willing to give people second chances and to give people grace. And that's not me as a lawman. That's me as a Christian speaking. If you believe, then you understand what I'm saying. If you don't, then I still respect you. It's all good. Let's keep going.
Get great news very, very shortly.
Yeah, and hope is all we can have at this point. One final question to you. When it comes to what they're trying to accomplish with the DNA samples that they do have, when it came to the Bryan Kohberger case, I remember they used the genealogy element of it to find a family member, and then it traced it back to Kohberger. Is that what they are doing right now with this, or are they trying to create a profile like the person's height, weight, skin color, sex?
Yeah, excellent question. Okay, so this is they also used it in the Corey Richins case too, if you guys remember that. David was part of that case as well. So yeah, there's two sides of the house at Othram. You have the lab side, which is going to build out the profile, and then when you hit those markers on there, do you know these guys actually have an entire team of genealogists in-house as well? So after they create the biological profile, they will take that over and begin to do a comparison against known genealogical samples from people that have deposited their DNA into open source. Okay, we're not talking about people like 23andMe and these other organizations that are kind of a closed loop. We're talking about there's like 3 major databases that are open. So when people have done the buccal mucosal swab, send it in, gee whiz, let's find out who my ancestors are.
They said I'm trying to hide the giggle. I'm just laughing because y'all keep talking about my dirty socks. I was thinking about maybe I should auction these socks off. Let's keep going.
That's what they're looking at right now. And they're going to build out this family tree. It's actually fascinating to see them do this. And who knows, they might find this perpetrator based on a 6th, 7th, 8th cousin, and then bring it back into tight focus from that point.
That's unbelievable if that does come to pass. And we also do have to hope that the DNA that they have is that of the kidnapper, because that's still an unknown at this
point. You look like a Barbie doll. No disrespect. He just looks like a Barbie.
Yeah, and we also have to hope that the ransom increase is kind of coming close to that magic number to get family and friends to finally say, hey, we're going to let people know what we know to turn this guy in.
Somebody knows something. You're right, Todd.
Joseph Scott Morgan, thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, big shout out to Joseph Scott Morgan. He's like the Swiss Army knife of YouTube, man. He's everywhere. We love this guy. All right, let's keep going. Law and crime. Let's see what they got for us.
How close are investigators to cracking the case of Nancy Guthrie? It feels like we're hearing less and less from law enforcement as tens of thousands of tips from the public come in.
17-minute mark is what the YouTube research crew tells me. Let's see.
Know about, like the masked man.
If we can back up just a little bit, there is kind of this area you enter into with DNA that kind of you're there before you get to forensic genetic genealogy. You think about phenotyping. There's been a lot that's been made of that. And phenotyping is they've so fine-tuned the science here that you can take this profile and it'll give you a snapshot of hair color, eye color, height, weight, all of these particulars, geomarkers relative to probably where this person originated from. Just dig your teeth into that for a second. And so let's just say you have an unknown individual. If they were to do phenotyping.
Hold on here. I think we're going to skip this one because he already told us about the genealogy stuff. So we don't need to get to double down on it. We know what they're doing. We understand the technology. We're going to go to the next exhibit. Here's Nancy Grace.
So much going on here, Nancy. We've got the blood at the house. We've got this mystery DNA. We've got ransom notes that may or may not be real, all of this stuff. So what really stands out to you at this point in this investigation?
At this juncture, well, frankly, there's been a kick in the teeth, and that is the DNA found on the glove near Nancy Guthrie's home did not get a hit in CODIS. That is a big blow, but it's not the end. In fact, the investigation is really just beginning. I believe that the DNA inside the home is much more likely to be connected to the perpetrator than the DNA on a glove, a random glove found over a mile away from her home. There's no doubt in my mind that the perp left behind at least touch DNA, if not saliva DNA. So I think right now that is the best lead. That has been sent now to genealogical testing, genetic genealogy. I believe that is a better bet than the glove.
Yeah. You have covered, thousands of cases. Does this one feel like it is a burglary gone wrong, or does it feel like a kidnapping for ransom, or does it feel like just something else?
Okay, a burglary gone wrong. Let's follow that through to the end. So, a guy comes in to commit burglary. He sees Nancy Guthrie is home. Whoa, wait, you mean an elderly lady is in her home with the door closed and the lights off at 2 a.m.? That's really not a surprise. That doesn't sound like a burglary. But that said, the idea of a cat burglar is really for Cary Grant.
The cat burglar.
Right? That normally doesn't happen in real life, where you have the guy in the black turtleneck and the all black and the ninja outfit sneaking around while the person's asleep. That rarely happens. Usually it's a wham bam, thank you ma'am. The person breaks in, steals electronics, steals whatever money they can find, steals whatever jewelry they can find, and hightails it. The last thing a burglar.
All right, real quick before we get back to Nancy with the cat burglar. All right, somebody in the chat said, "Oh, insufficient disk space." What? Oh man, like I ran out of space on the computer. It's terrible. Okay, hopefully it don't mess up the stream, right? Anyway, listen. I'm gonna fix that in a second, but check this out. So somebody told me, I got you. Cool. So somebody told me that they found that they read that two gloves were found that had blood on them, and that it took 1,000 years for the law enforcement to come and get it. I told them to send me the source. Well, guess what? They sent me the source. So I'm gonna go ahead and read that for you. You know what I'm gonna do is, because I gotta fix this whole disk space thing. Let me play Nancy Grace, right? I have that article. We're going to read that article. And that article is, it's just more power to the courts that these guys are just bungling this whole investigation. But let me let Nancy Grace talk for a little bit so I can do this on the back end. Then we're going to come back in with this article that's going to blow your mind. All right?
Wants is to cart around an 84-year-old lady that has a hard time walking. Where this theory, burglary gone wrong, came from, I don't know. But it's bogus and it's a waste of time. No one should be pursuing that. That didn't happen.
So you lean more to kidnapping for ransom or something else here? Because I hate that I even have to ask this question, but do you believe that Nancy is still alive?
I don't know, but have you found a body? Because I haven't heard anything about a body being found. Cadaver dogs were used far and wide in multiple locations. So right now, without proof that Nancy Guthrie has passed away, she's alive. Ideal in reality, not crazy, zany theories somebody posts on Twitter. Right now, Nancy Guthrie was taken for a reason. A burglar would not take her with them. Typically, when a burglar does break in and finds the occupant home, they turn tail and run. They don't want an encounter.
That's
Typically,
a fact.
burglars break in to steal, number one, rape, number two, and they leave the victim there, dead or alive. That didn't happen here. Do I think she's alive? Yes, I think she's alive. Yes, I know she doesn't have her medication, we think.
As the
But I have no reason to believe she's dead. That's just sheer speculation that she has passed away.
The sheriff's.
All right, real quick. Now let's go to the let's go to that news article. Actually, Aki found the video version, so we don't have to be reading like crazy. This is the video version about the gloves that were found that had blood on them. This is kind of like breaking news. This is 2 hours ago. So let me frame this correctly. This is breaking news, ladies and gentlemen. Big shout out to the person in the chat who sent this to us. This is breaking freaking news. Breaking news.
Oh my God!
They found 2 gloves with blood on it. Let's keep going.
Investigation into Nancy Guthrie's disappearance continues tonight. Neighbors say fear is still lingering in the area. Investigators say they're not ruling out the possibility that more than one person may be involved. Meantime, we're told the FBI is answering calls around the clock to 1-800-CALL-FBI tip line and reviewing submissions online. A reward of up to $100,000 from the agency remains in place for information leading to Nancy Guthrie's location or to the arrest and conviction of anyone involved in her disappearance. 88 Crime is also offering a reward now of $202,500. Monica Garcia joins us now live in the Catalina foothills with the very latest. And Monica, what is the latest today?
Sean, the latest is in regards to a Tucson couple who wishes to remain anonymous, who tells me that they have found 2 gloves less than a mile away from Nancy Guthrie's house, one appearing to have blood on it. And we did speak with them exclusively. And to give you an idea, where they found it is, again, less than a mile away from here, as soon as you pull out of this neighborhood right on Campbell Avenue. All of this happening, they tell us, on Wednesday at 10 p.m. The couple tells me they felt compelled to help because they live in the area. They say they decided to drive slowly down Campbell Avenue, searching with a lot of people who were searching back then, shining a bright flashlight out the car window. And that's when they say they saw what looked like a black glove on the side of the road. They say it did not look ordinary.
Sure enough, it was a black glove in the desert, and we found another black glove within, what, 10 feet of that?
It also appeared to look like it had blood on it. There was 2 different colors, and the blood was more towards like the wrist side of the glove, and on the pointer finger it looked like it was ripped. And so I was like, okay, well, I'll call the sheriff's department, see what they do with it. And same thing, we were on the phone with them. They're like, we can't guarantee anybody will come out. You guys can go ahead and leave. We were like, oh my gosh, is this really happening? They're asking for help. We're helping. We're giving it. We're literally saying we found something and nobody's coming. So then we decided, well, let's just call 911.
Oh, that's deep.
All right. So after calling at 911, the couple tells me
we don't got nobody to show up. When I'm sheriff of Pima County, that's not going to happen, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to make sure we got somebody to show up. You hear that? That's crazy. They said, hey, we have bloody gloves here that we found. And they said, they didn't even blow smoke up their butts. They didn't even say, okay, we'll be out there in an hour. They just said, we don't have nobody. Sorry. What? Damn.
Within minutes, investigators were out there on Campbell Avenue helping them out there. And they said that happened at 10 p.m. They did not leave after that questioning with those investigators till 2 a.m. So in the meantime, we also did reach out to the FBI. We have not heard from them regarding this, but we did just hear back from Sheriff Chris Nanos. I just spoke with him on the telephone about 10 minutes ago, and he tells me he can't confirm whether or not that those specific gloves did have blood on them and whether or not they are currently being reviewed as evidence. But he did say if it's something that 911 was called out and the investigators showed up and it was taken as evidence, he can't see why it was not. They were not sent for evidence.
That's crazy. I'm gonna steal that though. What in tarnations? Yeah, we're gonna take that. What in tarnations going on here? They didn't test those gloves. Unbelievable.
Live in the foothills. I'm Monica Garcia. Back to you.
All right, so there you have it.
All right, thank you, Monica. And investigators in the Nancy Guthrie case are still appealing to residents in the area tonight. They're asking for any videos or images of vehicles or anything suspicious looking in a specific radius. Within Campbell Avenue to Ina Road, as you see on the map there, to La Cholla and River Road. That is the radius. Investigators say they're looking for any leads, especially doorbell or surveillance video from the night of January 11th between 10 p.m. and 1 a.m. and from January 31st to February 1st between 11 p.m. and 4 a.m.
All right, so there you have it, man. So these folks, they wanted to remain anonymous, and I don't blame them because guess what? They put their face on the news. There's going to be 1,000 YouTubers, 1,000 news stations trying to interview them. They did the right thing. They called the authorities. They got basically ignored, but they didn't let up. They called 911. The locals came. The Pima County people came. They got it. I think it was the FBI that blew them off. So even the FBI is screwing up. I guess I got to go run for Kash Patel's position now. Hey, Trump, I'm running to be the FBI director. All right. So Kash Patel is messing up too, man. I mean, we can't win. We can't win out there, man, in Pima County. We can't win. But anyway, so Pima County came and got it, which is awesome. And we know that these people are real because they did speak to the news. They just didn't want their faces shown. So thank God for them, because the way that they describe those gloves probably have more likelihood of being the actual gloves worn by the kidnappers than any of the other gloves that these folks have collected. The 16 or 35 or 96 gloves. Somebody had like a meme on Twitter with Brian Enton and a box of black gloves, and he's like throwing it all over the place. You know, like, come on here. Like, geez Louise, whatever. Let's keep going. Let's go back to Nancy. Keep going.
Said that he believes it could be weeks, months, or years before Nancy Guthrie is found. What are your thoughts on that?
I know that Sheriff Nanos, in his wisdom, stated the case may take a year to solve. Why doesn't he stop talking?
Word.
That's a big question right now. Does anybody know the answer to that?
Word.
Do we need?
See, now, listen, I love Nancy. I know her producers is watching this show. Don't be fronting like y'all not. Okay, we may not be a big show, but we a good show. Why are we a good show? Because I kind of know what I'm talking about, even though I like to be funny about it. Now, did we not say that Nanos, and we even included, no disrespect, we even included Ashley Banfield, that they're giving too much information? They're giving too much information in this case. Now we see Nancy saying the same exact thing that we said. Why? Because it's the truth. It's the truth. The sheriff is giving too much information. Ashley Banfield, God bless her heart, is telling us about the helicopters that's snooping for the Bluetooth signals from her pacemaker. Yeah, just tell the kidnappers to wrap her up in foil paper so we can't find her. It's too much information, ladies and gentlemen, and it's doing nothing but helping the kidnappers. But let's listen to Nancy tell you about it.
Need the FBI to take care of that too? To tell a group of men and women that are going 24/7, 365, blood, sweat, tears, trying to find Nancy Guthrie, it could take a year? And what do you think that means to the family? She could be passed away in a year. She's already 84. I don't know why he stuck his other foot in his mouth. I'm surprised there's room in there.
You know, the DNA from the glove.
Damn, Nancy, I didn't even go that hard on him. The only thing Nancy left out was, what school did you go to, Nanos, a.k.a. Thanos? You know, she tell you what school you went to? Damn. Don't mess with Nancy. Let's keep going. Stay on
Didn't
good
match
side.
anybody in the FBI's database. Is that shocking to you that there was not one hit?
Many have asked me, am I surprised that there was not a CODIS hit on the glove, the random glove found on the side of the road nearly 2 miles away from Nancy Guthrie's home? No, I'm not surprised. What I will be surprised about is if through the use of genetic genealogy, we cannot find a trace of the perp from touch DNA or DNA left in the home. And when I'm asked, there wasn't even one hit. Well, it only takes one hit. And remember, when you're talking about genetic genealogy as opposed to a hit in CODIS, which is the National Data Bank, genetic genealogy goes all the way back to the people that floated over on the Mayflower. And it will be very difficult for me to believe that not one person since way back when has not had their DNA, either them, a distant relative, an aunt, a cousin, a child, a grandpa, a grandma, a grandchild, enter their DNA into one of the ancestry websites.
Well, we know we can't do nothing wrong because Aki put her stuff in there, even though I told her not to. So it's over. The strategic odds line, we have been cataloged, okay? We in there. All right, big shout out to the people who showing love to me. Okay, whatever, haha, with a $2 super chat says, as a Texan, I approve of the hat. Well, we approve of you well, young lady. Welcome to True Crime Strategic. Okay, let's keep going. All right. Travis says, $20 super chat, man. Big shout out to you, Travis. Thank you so much for showing support to the channel. He says, reward is at $300,000, $100K from the FBI and the rest from private donors. How much money have the Guthries committed to their mother's return/recovery? None. Aren't they willing to pay? That's deep, Travis. You're onto something, but I don't. Maybe they're not putting something up on the advice of the FBI. I don't know. I don't deal with hostage stuff, so I'm not an expert in that. Not an expert in that, so I can't really say why. But that is, as a layman, not knowing how these hostage situations work. Maybe I should talk to one of my colleagues or something who deals with that stuff. I would assume. Because this is chump change for Savannah Guthrie. This is big money for us. That kind of money would change my life, okay? For them, this is chump change. Savannah Guthrie doesn't have to make 1 cent. Her husband is filthy rich. I've seen anywhere from 40 to 60 million for his personal net worth, not Savannah Guthrie's net worth. His personal net worth, $40, $60 million. And we know that she's been in the game for 30 years and she's has $1 million contracts for many, 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 many years. So she's got to be either half or at least close to what he has. So this is chump change for them. So I don't understand. The only thing I can say is the reason why they haven't put up money is because maybe the FBI told them not to. That's the only thing that I could think about. I can't think of any other reason. At TA Swifty fan with $5 super chat says, you got to go to Nancy's video where it says day 20 halfway through her video when she's comparing the suspect coming up on the porch. All right, we're going to have to take a look at that. I don't know if we'll get to it tonight, but there's always tomorrow. All right, Miss Swifty, let's keep going.
Now, how does that work? Think of Joseph DeAngelo, the infamous, the notorious Golden State Killer. He terrorized women, he raped, he killed for years. And he was a former cop, by the way, and moved jurisdictions. Why? He was so hard to catch. His DNA was entered into the genetic genealogy database. Bam! They got a hit. They narrowed it down to who, in relation to whoever's in the database, what relative lives in the area. They narrowed it down to him. They watched him. They got his DNA off of his car handle when he went into Hobby Lobby and match, arrest, conviction. I'd be much more surprised if that
that's
didn't.
Deep. They got his DNA off his car handle when he went to Hobby Lobby. Wow. That took some coordination because you got to have a guy following him into Hobby Lobby. And the guy has got to be in contact with the guys outside so that he doesn't come out of Hobby Lobby while they're swabbing his door handle. Now, it doesn't take that long to swab a door handle. But you better believe there was a whole team involved with that. It wasn't just like, oh, he went inside, let me go swab it. That was a whole coordinated thing. That was probably really awesome how they did it. But let's keep going.
Than a random glove on the side of the road.
So you think that DNA is what's gonna crack this case?
I believe that DNA, deoxyribonucleic acid, will go a long way to cracking this case. But I believe in old school. Some call it gumshoe. I guarantee you, somebody knows who is holding Nancy Guthrie. There is a $200,000 reward. That's nearly $250,000. A girlfriend, an ex, a neighbor that hasn't put together 2 + 2 yet. And it will crack. And remember, wild speculation only hurts the investigation and the Guthrie family. And I'm talking specifically about our friend Savannah.
You know, we thought maybe there would be.
All right, real quick. 2 things. We got one that misbehaving, but I want to read the one inside of the chat first. So 12 Doodlebug said, when my daughter went missing a few years ago, and I hope that your daughter is fine and safe and secure now. So our prayers go with you. But she said, when my daughter went missing a few years ago, I was advised not to offer a reward up on top of the one. I think, people, spell check, whatever. I think what she's trying to say is she was advised not to offer a reward on top of the one that was being offered by law enforcement. So that's definitely some inside information from somebody who actually went through this as a victim's family member. She says that law enforcement told her not to offer a reward on top of the reward that was being offered by law enforcement. And the misbehaving was highlighted by the moderators, and that says, True Crime Strategic, serious question. Does CODIS only record information from Americans, or does it include Mexico, Canada, or the planet as well? Does anyone know? I'm curious. CODIS is only for people who have been arrested in the United States of America for a felony under charges that in each state has their own metric, results in giving DNA. It also has John Doe, Jane Doe samples from crime scenes. Innocent people can't be in CODIS. I heard somebody say that before. If you're innocent, you can't be in CODIS. Your DNA is removed from CODIS, okay? Like if you get exonerated, let's say you got sent to jail for a serious felony and they took the DNA from you and then they found out you didn't do it and the court clears you, they got to delete your fingerprints, they got to delete your record, they got to delete your DNA from CODIS. So it's only convicted people, and then it's like John Doe profiles that they don't know that are involved in crime scenes. That's who's in CODIS, not international people. Now, listen, if you come to America and you're a foreign national and you commit a felony crime and you get arrested in America, you're going to be put in CODIS. But we're not keeping a database of foreigners. You just happen to be a foreigner who committed a serious crime in America. So that's CODIS. Don't matter where you from, race, gender, or creed, if you commit a felony in America, a violent felony, you get put into CODIS. Let's keep going.
There was some momentum happening with the doorbell video that we had, but now it seems like that has cooled off as well. What's your take on that? Is this like leads? No, kind of having these dead ends. Is that normal in your experience?
Many people have expressed their disappointment and their exhaustion in this case. You know what? Suck it up, little sister. That's what these cases are about. Yes, many people not in the business of solving crimes had their hopes dashed and perceived it as a setback, that the investigation lost momentum when nothing was obtained from the porch guy video. That is just the beginning of the investigation. An investigation of this nature is not a sprint. It's a marathon, and you have to have the guts and the backbone and the perseverance to keep on and not give up every time there's a setback. No case is ever solved on day one, and what you see at trial, that is the culmination of all the wins, all the fingerprints you did find, the DNA that did match, the eyewitnesses that...
Now, when you hear Nancy talking like this right now you see the real Nancy. I'm not saying that she doesn't show us a real Nancy. What I'm saying is that Nancy is an experienced prosecutor. This is the second part of her life. The first part of her life was being a prosecutor. And this is a prosecutor talking. I like this. She got me motivated. I'm about to go out there right now. It's like, just take over the investigation. Screw it. I like this. I like what she's saying. Sounds real good. We're going to get back to her. I got to show some love to the people who show love to me real quick, because you guys know that's what we do here on True Crime Strategic. We love you, okay? We love you. All right, let's keep going. Big shout out to Erin Murphy. Always a pleasure to see you. Celebrating 11 months as a White Shield member. She says, oh, yeah, Livetown, yay. Welcome, Erin Murphy. We appreciate you and we love you. Rockman with a $10 super chat says, crazy story. Last night I called my mother-in-law in Georgia. She answered the phone but couldn't respond. I called 911 here in Florida and gave me the number to dispatch in Georgia. She is in ER now. Man, well, we're so happy that you were able to save her. It actually happened to me one time with a good friend of mine's. He called me and he's like, yo, I can't breathe. And then so I had to call. I'm in upstate New York. I called my local police. My local police then dispatched me to New York City, and then I sent them to his house. And he was in the ICU on a ventilator, unconscious for 3 weeks. But he lived. And he lived because I did the same thing that you did. So God bless you, bro. You saved your mother-in-law's life. You're a freaking hero, man. Anyway, let's keep going. Miss Rue 32 McGee says 5 gift memberships to 5 lucky people. That's awesome, man. Thank you so much for supporting us with those gift memberships, Miss McGee. And oh, I missed one. I'm sorry. Man, funny, where are you? Okay, perfect. Back. Becca Masters with a $10 super chat says, so the picture of the suspect without the backpack and gun, could that be video pulled from the nest from maybe January 11th, casing her home before the kidnapping? Is that where the date comes from? This is the thing. Like, I have not seen that or in any other place or seen anybody else talk about that. So I'm curious on if that is actually real. So I'm going to have to reach back to the research crew and I'm going to have to throw this in their lap. Is the picture, because I saw that picture, is the picture without him having a backpack, is that a real picture or was that photoshopped? Because I haven't heard anybody talk about that picture, and that picture would mean a second suspect. The problem is they were dressed identically. Now, is that improbable? No, it's not. It's actually really smart if they did dress the same way. But I have not seen or heard that picture discussed other than seeing it on Twitter. I don't know if you should trust Twitter. Anyway, big shout out to JV. $2 super chat says, God bless. I'm your newest sub. Well, thank you so much, JV, and we're a pleasure to have you. We hope you stick around for a while. Welcome to the family. Let's get back to Nancy Grace.
Did come forward. You don't hear about every setback, every time something didn't work out. Every investigation is full of false leads. Rarely do you get your guy on day one. That's the nature of this business.
Do you believe the person that we did see on that video, though, is the person who did something to Nancy Guthrie? I mean, we've only seen one person with the backpack and the glove on. Do you believe that's the person that did it? It was around the time that, you know, her heart monitor separated from her Apple Watch. We've seen that person. That's who we're looking for?
Think that through. You think another guy showed up on the porch at 1:45 a.m.? And her heart monitor was disconnected, the pacemaker disconnected from Bluetooth around 2 a.m., and now she's gone? Yes, that's the perp. That is the perp. He may be working with someone else or maybe an accomplice. I wouldn't be surprised about that because it's hard for me to believe the same guy that tried to put grass on the porch cam is the same guy, if they're connected, that wrote a fairly concise and eloquent ransom note. There may be an accomplice, but that's the guy. Trust me.
All right, interesting. So people saying that was discussed on other channels. Well, what did they say? Did they say that it was a real one? I don't know. Anyway, Wildflower changed her name finally from Gotta Poop. Now we can take her seriously. We love you, Wildflower. We'll never forget you. We put Gotta Poop to rest. Big shout out to Lions, Leslie Lyon with a $20 super chat says, finally caught you live. Hit the like button, guys. Thank you so much. Listen to Leslie. She is amazing, and she's also my favorite. She said hit the like button. Anybody who hits the like button is my favorite. Let's keep going.
Thinking to that, now I think about the fact that Savannah Guthrie, you mentioned her, has had to see that. You've seen the person that has your mother, if we all believe that is the case. You know, she stepped away from the Today Show to be in Tucson this whole time. Does all this media attention surrounding her, because she is so high profile, does this help the case? Does it hurt the case?
The high-profile nature of this case, largely because of Nancy's relation to her daughter Savannah Guthrie, helps the case. As many naysayers like to point out, other missing people do not get this attention or this many resources. So it is helping the case. More resources, more eyes, more people interested, more people sleuthing. Yes, it helps the case. I only wish every case could get this much attention.
Amen.
We know that you have been through this with a fine-tooth comb, Nancy. So is there anything else that's significant to you? And what is your gut telling you right now about this case?
I believe the case will be solved. I think we will find who took Nancy Guthrie, but I still believe that this is a race against the clock.
Right. So I agree with Nancy. I certainly believe that this case will be solved, but I don't have a lot of faith that Nancy is going to be found alive. And it's not because I don't want her. I mean, of course I want her to be alive. I'm just looking at reality. She's 84 years old. She's without her medication. She's under an enormous amount of stress. I think these guys made a really bad decision taking somebody of such an advanced age to, well, I mean, I can't even say it's for ransom. I don't know why they took her, because I don't believe that they even took her for a ransom. I don't believe none of the ransoms that have come out so far. So let me jump into this real quick, because the research crew is telling me that this
breaking news,
that this is worthy of covering. Big shout out to Nancy Grace yet again. We love Nancy. We do love her. We cover a lot on this show because she's awesome. So let me go ahead and bring it over to 15-minute mark where they're telling me I should start. And before we do that, big shout out to Erin Murphy with a $20 super chat. She says, I want to hear that something, gloves, etc., has been tested for fingerprints. Why does no one talk about fingerprint evidence? You know, I think the problem with the fingerprint evidence, even though, you know, Erin is a crime scene technician. She does crime scene stuff for police department. I think she's changed her position now to better serve her community even more in an even better position. But she knows a lot about forensics. And I think the reason why they're not really talking a lot about fingerprint evidence is because I think that the gloves were layered. And so if it was layered, then I don't think they expect to find fingerprints on those gloves. I think they're trying to looking for that DNA at the base of the gloves from them putting it on. That's what I'm thinking. But for all we know, maybe the lab is certainly testing for fingerprints. You just don't hear YouTubers talking about that. But yes, when somebody puts latex gloves on, you're not only looking for DNA evidence, which you're going to get a lot of it. You're also looking for fingerprints, because that latex will get an impression of your fingerprints on the inside of the glove. So that's definitely like a pro tip right there that you're probably not going to hear from many people who don't know a lot about crime scene. But of course, we have the best viewers on YouTube. We have crime scene people in the chat. We have lawyers in the chat. We have psychologists in the chat. And that's why we always get the best information. Big shout out to Art Deco Rose with a $5 super chat. Says, why is there no film of Nancy bleeding on the porch? I have no idea. I could only imagine that that is the video that they were able to obtain at that point. And maybe if they did have that video, they probably wouldn't want to release it to the public. You don't typically release stuff like that to the public. You release stuff that will help you identify the subject. You don't release video that's showing the victim being abused or hurt. So that's a violation of that victim's privacy. So I don't think we'd ever see video of Nancy leaving the house bloodied. Nor do I think that we should see it. That is stuff that stays in the investigation as confidential. The stuff you would show is the stuff that we've seen already, which is clear images of the subject. Unfortunately, he's masked up, that he's gloved up. Let's keep going and let's see what Nancy has for us.
I'll get you to explain why, so we can put that away and get it off our table of analysis. Brian Fitzgibbons is joining us. He's the Director of Operations at USPA Nationwide Security. What is that? He leads a team of investigators around the world finding missing people. He is a Marine vet He is a former Marine and an Iraqi war vet. Let me talk to you about the possibility of an accomplice, because it's been out there circulating, and then Nana's blurted it out that he thinks there may be an accomplice. Why he said that, I mean, really? It's just like waving the red flag in front of a bull. It's like putting on the overhead speaker in high school. We now know there's an accomplice and we're coming after you, which in my mind would only make the accomplice panic. But that said, what leads you to agree or disagree regarding an accomplice?
I certainly agree with that, Nancy. I've been saying this since we started covering this case. First of all, just like we call him, the bungling kidnapper on the porch, this is indicative to me that he's being controlled and supervised by somebody, that he did not do this alone. That this was just a foot soldier that was sent forward, to disable that camera and gain entry to the house. So I think his lack of sophistication on that porch itself shows that there's someone else involved who's his superior.
Nobody is biting about the backpack. I keep saying it, and nobody's touching it with a 10-foot pole. Fitzgibbons, he comes up to the scene. Let's see him when he first approaches. Who gave him the backpack? Because there is absolutely a moment he doesn't have the backpack. Where did it go? Who gave it to him? Was it in the car? Did he have to go retrieve it? Did he put it back in the car?
All right, so I think I missed this because Nancy's saying that that picture is accurate. Like, I glazed over, and that's my fault, and I apologize for that. Nancy's basically corroborating, saying that that picture is real. I always thought that picture was Photoshopped because nobody really is talking about it. Like Nancy said, nobody spoke about it. But it appears that he first comes in the first picture that he has no backpack. Then he comes back with a backpack. This is interesting. Very interesting.
So if there is a car, trust me, he didn't leave it laying out on the front lawn. So if there's a car, is somebody in the car? Do you really think, just think about it forensically, clinically, would he do this alone? Because the reason I care, Fitzgibbons, is the more people involved, the more likely somebody's going to talk. You've got an extra girlfriend, you got an extra grandma or mom or an extra neighbor or little sister. Somebody knows something's up. And that reward is climbing. That's why I care if there's an accomplice. They can both go straight to hell and burn for all I care. But I want to catch them. So what do you think about the backpack aspect?
Yeah, and there's one. I agree with you there that backpack wouldn't have just been placed on the ground randomly. In that first video, when you see him approaching the porch, there's a shadow being cast from the left to the right. All right, indicative of that motion light that was destroyed. When you later see him without the backpack on, there is no similar shadow. So you can extrapolate from that he may have had tools either to gain access or to destroy that light, which we know was indeed destroyed on that side of the house.
Sorry.
So how does that fit into the accomplice theory?
Yeah, that he's passing off that equipment after he's done with it.
Listen, I'm sorry to say it, but this is something that's important. A lot of times when we have these tragedies, we don't learn any lessons from them. And it's our job and our duty to learn lessons. So it's not going to help Nancy, and it doesn't do anything for the family of Nancy. All right. So this is not a message for the Guthries. This is the message for all of us. All right. This case would have been solved if Nancy's subscription was up to date. All right. Now, I subscribe to the Google Nest security system. I have it. I have like 6 or 7 cameras. Okay. And I have a doorbell. I have everything. Everything that's a part of that security apparatus, I have. So I know exactly how good this system is. And I know that even if they broke the cameras, every single piece of footage up until that camera was broken would have been uploaded to the cloud, would have been safe and secure, and would have been able to be used to identify these bad guys. So what is the lesson here? If you have an elderly loved one, make sure that you're on top of these things. Make sure of it. Make sure you're on top of these things. And these things can be expensive, but if there's a will, there's a way. Like, for instance, I was paying over $200 for my yearly subscription. And then guess what? I switched over to Fios, and Fios now has a deal where instead of me paying $200, I pay $20 and it bundles HBO Max and Google Cloud and all kinds of stuff. And now that stuff is free. Now my security system is free because it's bundled in, and I'm paying $20 a month instead of $250 just for that one product. Now I'm paying $20 a month for like 5 different products. So I don't have to pay for that no more. I don't have to pay for that. These people are rich. And even the ones that are not rich are doing pretty decently. They could have afforded to pay for this subscription. And so listen, they probably didn't even know. Like, they thought, oh, well, who's gonna come and mess with our mom? So this is not a knock on the Guthries. We gotta learn a lesson from this. Make sure that your parents' phone bills are paid. Make sure that their electricity is running. Sometimes our relatives can be very proud and they'll go without electricity, they'll go without water, they'll go without food because they don't want to come ask you. You're the one that they raised. So they don't want to come and tell you, hey, can I get a few dollars? Well, my mama know, don't you be too proud to come ask me for a few dollars. And sometimes when I have a few extra dollars, I just send her a few dollars. Now, Aki, do you do that? Because I don't think you be doing that, Aki. That's why I'm the favorite son.
Oh, my God.
Oh, yeah. I just send my mom money. Check on your loved ones. Check on your parents. If the subscription was paid, the bad guys would be caught right now. We'd probably have their car. We'd have all kinds of crap. We'd know where they dropped their gloves. We'd have all of that because the night vision, this is the doorbell camera. The night vision on the doorbell camera is good. The night vision on the camera, the security camera, is amazing. Is amazing. If we would have got the security camera's footage, this man we'd be able to see, the camera's so good we could see his DNA. That's how good those cameras are. Now, Swifty says there's no mouth mole or nose hole in this mask. That's true. It looks weird. That's why I looked at it and thought it was kind of weird. I don't, whatever. Let's keep going. Good point, though, T.A. Swifty. Let's keep going. Oh, big shout out to Aaron Murphy, $5 super chat, says, another super chat for Aki and the mods. Hear you, strategic. You are spot on all the time. Keep up the hard work. The mission is paramount. Amen. Thank you so much, Aaron. I appreciate you.
Either storing it in a car because, now it's pitch black out in front of the house. You're not just going to leave the backpack in the pitch black on the ground.
Brian Fitzgibbons, that's really astute. Let me keep looking at this while Brian talks because I want everyone to see what he's talking about. You're right. When he walks up, there is the shadow. You can see that bright night light is on. And it's not just his bike light. It's lit up behind him, behind the bike light as well. Okay. Then as you look later, without the backpack, everything's dark. I don't believe he climbed up and got and dismantled that nightlight on his own. That's a really good point. Joining me, Dr. Michelle Joy, forensic clinical academic psychiatrist, author of The Schmuck in My Office. You can find her at West Philly Morbid Art. Dr. Michelle, thank you for being with us. What do you make of the psychological evaluation of whether he had an accomplice? Did he do this all on his own?
I think there's a lot to be garnered from the video.
All right, before she jumps into her commentary, we're going to ask you guys once again, probably for the last time on the show, because we're at 1 hour and 24 minutes. We don't have a lot left of the show to do. Please hit that like button, support the channel. We have well over 1,000 people who've been joining us consistently for well over an hour. It's a lot of people who want to join in, and we appreciate you guys for showing us love and supporting us. But please do hit the like button so we could get into the algorithm so that we could be shown by to a wider audience, rather. All right, this is amazing. Believe me, a year ago we probably had 40 people in the chat, 40, and now look at us now, and we're nothing without you. You know, this is not ego. This is just being humbled, because you guys could easily tune off at any time and go somewhere else. So we thank you so much for joining us tonight.
As the other people interviewed so far have said, but I think that what makes the most sense to me is his lack of facileness with everything, right? I know that exactly that gun there. Previously, some former FBI agents had spoken about just his lack of expertise with carrying a firearm. It's kind of holstered in front of him and waving around and things like this. So I think that his lack of sophistication makes me agree with the previous person that was interviewed, was that there's someone else directing most likely this, because if being this fumbling, as we've used the word so far, just at the intro to the scene, you wouldn't think that he would have coordinated, anything successful enough to not only have this person, and when I say successfully, obviously tragically successfully, to, be able to extract her and to have her,
So it looks like he's touching the door handle. I don't know what he's manipulating down there. I'm not sure. This is interesting. The other thing is that even if you rip this camera off of the wall, this camera has a battery in it. And even if you rip it off the wall, it's still going to be recording for some time and like kind of is beaming back to the internet. Some folks were saying that Nancy was on some neighborhood apps, and she just said that she had the cameras just so she could see the wildlife. I get it. It is what it is. But like I said, if those cameras were working, we would know who took her. We'd have a whole lot more evidence than what we have right now. And it's unfortunate. Big shout out to Jay Elizabeth. Oh yeah, with a $5 super chat. She wants that email, and we sent it to you. So definitely hit that email, whatever you want to send me. And guys, this Linktree link right here, I'm going to just copy this link and I'm going to put it back in here. This Linktree link, it doesn't work, whatever. Bottom line is this Linktree link, it gives you a link for everything that we do here, or all of our social media, our email, our merch store, everything. So if you ever want the email to the show, or you want the merch, or you want a membership, or you want the Patreon, all the different things that we're doing, just hit that one link and it takes you for everything. And I'm going to show you guys very quickly what that is. You hit that link in the Linktree and you see this. This is what you see. And then you have access to every single social media and means of contacting the show that we have right here. So this is the email right here. You click that, it goes straight into your email. All right. Just wanted to show that to you guys because I want to hear from you guys. If you have information you want to share with me, I want to make sure you know how to find us. Let's keep going.
Disappear for this long. It just seems like something would have gone wrong from his perspective, being a lone actor.
Now there is the specter of Mexican cartel involvement, but after speaking to Border Patrol officers and experts in the area, I don't buy it. Cartels usually target people within Mexico. Can anybody on this panel name a single U.S. citizen taken from the U.S. by the cartels? Obviously, no. So I've noticed in cartel schemes, they typically correspond to local events, local extortion plots, business dealings, drug issues. To Brian Fitzgibbons, do you agree or disagree? You have rescued people out of Mexico. Does this have any resemblance to a cartel job?
Not at all, Nancy. The primary reason.
Right, I'm gonna tell you before he says it, because I've never seen this before. First of all, to Frankie, we'll have to do that on a different show because I'm getting tired and it's 11:24. We're already approaching the 2-hour mark on this show. So I see that Nancy show that you sent me. I'm gonna have the research crew take a look at it. We'll probably cover it on another show. We definitely appreciate you though. Thank you so much for sending us that tip. Big shout out to Rockman with a $2 super chat says Rocco's Modern Home Repair. Okay, I got you, brother. That's what's up. Check it out. I don't think that the cartel had anything to do with this, guys. Nothing. When the last time we ever heard of the cartel taking somebody old lady in America or even in Mexico? These dudes are not out here stealing people's grandmothers. That's not how they do business. Now, if grandma stole their drugs, okay, they'll give her a Colombian bow tie. If you don't know what that is, go look it up. They don't care. They have no qualms ending grandma. If grandma is involved in their business, if grandma is not messing with their money, they're not going after grandma. These people have billion-dollar organizations. The Mexican and the Colombian cartels are hundreds of millions of dollars organizations, and some of them are billion-dollar organizations. They don't want Savannah's chump change. My money is chump change to Savannah. Savannah's money is chump change to the cartels. All right? This is some other crap. This is some crap from left field. We're going to have to figure this out. But I definitely do not believe that this has anything to do with the cartels. Big shout out to All Remove when the $10 super chat says, also remember to put noise option on and not mute on camera. That way when you view it, you can hear what's going on too outside. Absolutely. Let's keep going.
And it is just like you said, this is a U.S. citizen, high profile in nature. This is going to draw an incredible amount of, it has drawn an incredible amount of media attention and an incredible amount of unwanted attention to the cartel from the U.S. federal government. The second point that I'm going to make is all the hallmarks of a typical cartel ransom and kidnapping ransom operation are not being met here. There would be a clear and sophisticated way to pay. They would want to be able to cash out easily and make that process very seamless. This doesn't meet any of those criteria.
You know, when it comes to Mexico, Brian Fitzgibbons, let's just pretend for one moment that she has been moved to Mexico. That's not playing into all the crazy, zany cartel theories. But if she has been moved to Mexico, what do you do to extract someone out of Mexico? We know that the feds are accessing iFamilia, which is the Mexican equivalent of our DNA databank CODIS, although it's used mostly for identifying bodies.
Oh, that's what's up, man. That's cool that the Mexican authorities are allowing them to access their DNA database. That's pretty cool. Let's keep going.
In murder cases, also, of course, they're looking internationally at Interpol databases. I think good news is that they are looking at the Arizona database, which is a lot less stringent. You get more information. For instance, suspects are in there. Not pristine DNA mixtures are in there. The CODIS databank would not allow everything that is allowed in the Arizona DNA databank. And that's good for this case. That's good for the Arizona search because you've got a wider pool. There's over 500,000 profiles in the Arizona databank. But back to Mexico, how would you extract someone from Mexico?
All right, so we'll stop that there. All right. You guys are amazing, man. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. Please hit that like button. Big shout out to all my Patreon subscribers. We did a Patreon live today. Only for Patreon. It was pretty cool. We talked about some really interesting topics. Please make sure that you're a part of our Patreon. Our Patreon is raw. It's unfiltered. There's no roadblocks on it because unfortunately YouTube does put those roadblocks on us. So if you want a raw, unfiltered experience with True Crime Strategic, make sure you go over to the Patreon and you subscribe to the Patreon. On the other hand, I want to thank all of my members to the YouTube membership. You guys are amazing. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for supporting the channel, keeping us afloat. It's been a long live. And it's time for us to call it a day. So guys, let me put my voice on, ladies and gentlemen. I want to make sure every single one you go out to that ballot box and you vote True Crime with Strategic Sheriff of Pima County, all right? If you love your grandmothers, make sure that you support me. And let's get Sheriff Thanos out of office because he likes to snap his fingers and make grandmas disappear. Now, listen, I'm just cracking jokes on Thanos. I'm never going to call him Nanos without saying Thanos. Thanos is not the reason why Nancy is missing. All blame goes to the bad guys. But for a man who says he has 50 years of law enforcement experience, we expect more from him. And he's been doing blunders. Listen, every investigation makes mistakes. I have made mistakes in my investigations as well. We all make mistakes. Why? Because we're human. We're human, okay? We're human, all right? But on the other hand, he has made an unusually higher rate of mistakes than we would like to see from somebody with his experience. And to me, I think it's time to give somebody else an opportunity to be the leader of that organization, especially when we hear that his own foot soldiers, they don't respect him, they don't like him. Stop voting ideologically, ladies and gentlemen. Vote for what is right for your community, whatever that means, okay? Replace Nanos. We're all observant people. We can clearly see that this is an ego-driven person. We can clearly see he's not the right man for the job, all right? 50 years, it's time to hang that coat up, Nanos, and go enjoy your retirement, dude, all right? Go enjoy your retirement. Anyway, I'll see you guys on the next one. Strategic is out of here. Peace.